The stars were quiet, too quiet. For cycles, the Zorathi Empire had watched Earth from afar. Humans were unpredictable, emotional, and terrifyingly clever. The Council of Elders had warned the Queen that contact would bring chaos. But she didn't. Listen. Now chaos had arrived. A Zorathi warship floated silently over the human colony on Kepler 186f. It had come to deliver a message. Instead, it was attacked by unmanned human drones within seconds. It wasn't an act of war. It was instinct. The humans hadn't known the ship was peaceful. They only saw something big, silent, and alien enter their skies. The Queen sat in her crystal chamber, staring at a large floating screen. Fires danced across the human colony. Emergency signals blinked red, and in the middle of it all, one Zorathi soldier had gone missing. Her own daughter, Princess Asera. Still no signal from her pod? The Queen asked coldly. "No, my Queen," replied Commander Dravix. "We believe her escape pod crashed inside the human base. We suspect she's either dead or captured." The Queen narrowed her glowing violet eyes. "No, she's alive. I feel it." Her voice shook, but not from fear. From something worse, guilt. The Queen had approved the peaceful contact mission against every warning. Now her daughter was alone, on a human world during what could easily become an interstellar war. And then, something strange happened. One of the human colony's comms towers blinked online. It wasn't a distress call. It was a message. Text only, human language. Encrypted? But not hard to decode. Zorathi translation read, "The alien is safe. She is under our protection. Do not attack. We mean no harm." Everyone in the Queen's war chamber froze. What? Dravex's voice was tight with disbelief. They saved her? The Queen stood slowly. Her long silver robe shimmered in the dim light. "No," she whispered. "They bonded with her." 2 weeks earlier, Asera's pod had crash-landed deep in Human Sector 9. The colony was still recovering from a recent oxygen leak. Morale was low, rations short. When the pod was discovered, many wanted to leave the alien to die, but one didn't. A young engineer named Eli Torres stepped forward. "I'll go," he said. "If she's alive, she might be scared, hurt. She needs help." "She's an alien," someone warned. "She's a person," Eli replied. And so he went, alone. Wearing only a protective suit and carrying a med-kit. He found her unconscious, tangled in the wreckage of her pod. Her bioskin was torn, one arm twisted wrong. She bled a strange glowing fluid. But she was breathing. Barely. Eli acted quickly, injecting a pain suppressor, sealing the wound and shielding her from the cold. He carried her on his back through the storm, 2 miles across frozen ground, to a quiet shelter near the forest. When Asera woke up, she screamed, but Eli didn't scream back. He raised his hand, spoke softly. "I'm not your enemy." She blinked at him, confused, weak. And then she cried. Not because she was in pain, but because someone had shown her kindness. Something her royal life had never offered without condition. Back in the present. The Queen stood silently in the chamber. Her advisors argued, "It's a trap. They're using her. They'll tear her apart once they understand her biology." But the Queen ignored them all. She replayed the message again, zoomed in, enhanced the background. There she was, Princess Asera, sitting next to a human boy, smiling and holding his hand. No chains, no fear, just trust. The Queen's voice was calm, but her eyes shimmered with moisture. "So the rumors are true. You really bonded with the human," she said aloud, as if Asera could hear her across the stars. New war was coming, but not the one they expected. This war wouldn't be over territory or resources. This war would be over love, and whether the galaxy could survive it. Asterisk, the human colony on Kepler 186f was silent under the stars. But inside Shelter 12, everything was changing. Asera, the Zorathy princess, sat by the warm heater. Her body was healing, thanks to human medicine. Her silver skin had faded to a soft lavender tone. Her arm was wrapped in a special bandage. Her breathing had steadied. But her heart was confused. Eli Torres, the human engineer, brought her water. She took it with gentle hands. Their eyes met for a moment. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. Their bond had grown in silence. In the days after the crash, Asera had learned many human things. How to eat human food, how to read their language, and most importantly, how to trust. Eli didn't treat her like a monster or a royal. He treated her like a friend. But outside Shelter 12, the world was preparing for war. The Zorathy Queen had sent a diplomatic probe to orbit above Earth's moon. It delivered one simple message: "You have taken our royal blood. Return her safely, or we will burn your colony from the sky." On Earth, fear spread fast. News networks flashed headlines: "Alien royalty captured. First contact may lead to war." Back on Kepler 186f, Eli knew nothing of this. Neither did Asera. They were building something quiet, something strange, something forbidden. One evening, rain tapped against the shelter's roof. Asera sat near the window, watching the drops slide down. Eli sat beside her, adjusting the heater. "Like the rain?" he asked. "In Zorathy skies, water doesn't fall," she replied softly. "We have crystal storms. They sing, but they're sharp. This is peaceful." Eli smiled. "We don't usually think of rain that way." She turned to him. "Humans don't see what they have, but they feel deeply. It's why I was told to fear your kind." "Fear us?" "They said humans are wild, that you bond with anything, that your hearts are dangerous." Eli looked down, quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe they're right." Asera's face changed. "Do you fear me?" "No," Eli said. I trust you more than anyone right now." That moment changed everything. Their hands touched, not forced, not planned, just natural. The Zorathy called it Telmara soul-touching. It was sacred, only shared between true mates. And yet, it had happened here. Between alien and human. Miles above them, the Queen watched from her royal ship. The bond was confirmed. Asera's biosignals had changed. Her DNA was syncing to a human pattern. The royal advisors were panicking. This violates every genetic law. If the bond completes, she won't be Zorathy anymore. She'd become part human. The Queen said nothing. She remembered her own youth, her own dreams, her own forbidden love, crushed by the throne's cold demands. Now her daughter was walking the same path, but the Queen knew this path had no return. Once bonded, Zorathy and human could not be separated without death. It was no myth. It was biology, and her daughter had chosen. Back on Kepler 186f, alarms suddenly screamed across the colony. Eli grabbed his coat. Asera followed him. Outside, human soldiers had surrounded the shelter. A transport vehicle hovered above. Commander Harlow, leader of Kepler security, stepped out. "Torres, step aside." Eli stood firm. "She's not a threat." "She's not human either," Harlow said. "Orders from Earth. Return the alien to orbit immediately." Asera stepped forward. "I'll go," she said calmly. Eli looked at her, shocked. "What? No. You don't have to." "I do," she said, placing a hand on his chest. "If I stay, they will attack you. If I leave, they might listen." Their eyes locked. "Promise me," she whispered. "You'll find me again." "I swear," Eli replied. Asera stepped into the transport. The doors closed. Eli stood alone in the rain as the ship rose into the clouds, but this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something no human or Zorothy had ever dared before. A bond that defied war, a love that defied species, a destiny neither of them could escape. The Zorotha flagship drifted quietly above Earth's atmosphere, its crystal hull shimmering with soft purple light. Inside, Queen Virali sat on her throne, staring at a hologram of her daughter, Princess Asera. She was alive. She was smiling. But it was not a Zorothy smile. It was something different. Human. The room echoed with arguments. The human male must be eliminated. One advisor barked. The bond must be reversed. Another insisted. Queen Virali raised her hand, silencing them. She is no longer only Zorothy, the queen said quietly. She has chosen. That choice could destroy us, shouted General Krivak. She's merging her DNA with a human. It's irreversible. If that bond completes, we lose our heir. The queen turned her glowing eyes toward him. Then we lose a princess, she said coldly, but gain something new. Everyone went silent. They had never heard the queen speak with such softness or such power. In the royal medical chamber, Asera sat on a floating bed. Thin wires were attached to her body. The doctors ran quiet tests. Her body had begun to change. Zorothy blood and human hormones were interacting at the genetic level. It was rare, dangerous, beautiful. A young Zorothy nurse leaned close. You are not afraid? Asera shook her head. He saved me. Not just from death, from loneliness, from duty. He saw me. Not as royalty, but as me. The nurse looked down, whispering, I hope they let you keep that. Just then, the queen entered. Everyone bowed. Asera's heart raced. She stood slowly, unsure of what to say. But her mother spoke first. Are the rumors true, Asera? The princess nodded. Yes, I bonded with a human. The queen walked closer. You understand what this means? Yes, I may never return to the court. I may never bear royal children. I may become something else. The queen paused. Then, to everyone's surprise, she said, Good. Asera's eyes widened. You were born into duty, not choice, the queen continued. But this was yours. I lost my own chance at love for the throne. I will not steal yours. Tears welled in Asera's eyes. She stepped forward and embraced her mother. The queen held her tightly, whispering, But they will come for him. Back on Kepler 186F, Eli was under house arrest. Commander Harlow had placed him in isolation, claiming it was for his protection. He sat in a small steel room, staring at the blank wall. All he could think about was her. A knock at the door broke his thoughts. It wasn't a soldier. It was Dr. Leon, a xenobiologist from Earth Command. She looked curious, not hostile. You bonded with her? She asked. Eli nodded. Tell me how. He hesitated, then said quietly, I didn't plan it. I didn't even understand it. But when she looked at me, I saw something I've never seen in any human. And I knew she saw it in me too. Dr. Leon tapped her screen. Do you know what this means? If your DNA has begun merging with hers, you're the first human Zorothy hybrid host. Ever. Eli blinked. What does that mean for me? It means Earth Command wants you studied. Dissected, maybe. Eli stood. I'm not a lab rat. No, she said, voice low. You're a bridge. Later that night, the queen made a secret decision. She summoned her most trusted pilot. Prepare a small shuttle. Send Asera back to the human colony. But my queen, she must see him before war wipes away what they built. The pilot nodded. What of the bond? The queen looked out into the stars. If it's true, then we must understand it, not destroy it. The next morning, Kepler 186F skies cracked open. A glowing shuttle landed in the colony center. Soldiers raised weapons. Alarms rang. But from inside the ship stepped a familiar figure, Princess. As Ira unarmed alone and walking straight toward Eli, he saw her through the glass, rushed out. The guards shouted, "Stand down!" But no one moved. Eli and Sarah met in the middle of the platform. He reached for her hand. She didn't hesitate. Their fingers touched, and in that moment, both their bodies pulsed with a soft light. Something awakened. Not just between them, but across the planet. The Zorathi had sent a message, not of war, but of possibility. Eli stood still, his hand tightly holding Sarah's. The colony soldiers had their weapons lowered, but their eyes were full of fear and confusion. Behind them, medical drones buzzed in the air, scanning both of them. The glow between Eli and Sarah had faded. But something was left behind. Connection. A link deeper than science. A bond that pulsed in both their hearts. Dr. Leon pushed through the crowd. Her scanner beeped wildly. "This is real," she whispered. "The genetic bond is active. His cells. They're changing." Commander Harlow frowned. "Changing? How much?" "Enough," Leon said. "More than expected. His biology is adjusting. He's not just bonded, he's becoming compatible." Harlow stepped back, nervous. "You mean he's becoming alien?" "No," said Sarah, stepping forward. "He's becoming more." Inside the colony's science center, Eli and Sarah were placed in an observation room. Not as prisoners, but not as guests either. The walls were clear. Scientists, soldiers, and even politicians watched from behind glass. Eli looked uncomfortable. "They're treating us like experiments," he muttered. As Ira placed her hand over his. "In their eyes, we are." Dr. Leon entered the room, holding a tablet. "Your bond is unique," she said. "It's not just emotional, it's biological. Your DNA strands have begun forming a pattern, almost like a code." "A code?" Eli asked. "Yes, one we've never seen before. It's not random. It's like your bond is building something inside you, preparing you both for a transformation." Eli laughed nervously. "Great. Am I growing tentacles?" "No," Leon replied. "Seriously, but your nervous systems are syncing. Your heart rates match. When she feels pain, your body reacts, and when you touch, it stabilizes both your vitals." Sarah tilted her head. "You mean we keep each other alive?" Leon nodded. "Exactly." News of the bond spread fast out across Earth and Zorathi space. Media channels exploded with headlines. "Human and alien form genetic link, miracle or threat." "Royal Zorathi Princess bonds with Earthman, first interspecies merge begins on Earth." Many feared it. "Humans shouldn't mix with aliens," one politician said on a broadcast. "It's dangerous, immoral, and unnatural." On Zorath, it was worse. Council elders declared the bond a violation of sacred law. Riots broke out in the outer cities. Some wanted Sarah exiled. Others demanded war, but deep inside the Queen's warship, she watched the chaos calmly. "They fear what they don't understand," she whispered. One advisor stepped forward. "What is your decision, my Queen?" The Queen's eyes narrowed. "We give them a chance to prove it's more than chemistry. Let them stand before both races." Back at the science center, Eli began experiencing strange symptoms. His body temperature dropped. His pupils changed color in low light. His hearing sharpened. He could feel things Sarah hadn't even spoken yet. When she was anxious, he felt it. When she smiled, it warmed his chest. When she cried quietly in the night, he woke up, tears in his own eyes. "This is insane," he told her. "I'm not myself anymore." "No," Sarah replied, brushing her hand along his cheek. "You're becoming part of me, and I of you." That night, They sat on the rooftop of the center, watching the stars. Eli looked up. You ever wonder if the universe planned this? Sarah laughed softly. No, but I know the stars are watching, and I hope they're not angry. Do you regret it? He asked. She paused, then shook her head. No, even if it ends tomorrow, I will always be glad it happened. Eli turned to her. I'm not letting it end tomorrow. The next day, 2 messages arrived, one from Earth Command, the other from Queen Virali. Both requested the same thing. A public trial. A chance for Sarah and Eli to speak before both species. To explain the bond. To prove it wasn't a threat. Or die trying. Dr. Leon sighed. They're turning your love into a courtroom show. But Sarah stood tall. Let them. Eli looked at her. You sure? Yes, she said. If we don't speak for this bond, who will? And so the date was set. In 7 days aboard the Galactic Neutral Station, the human and the alien princes would stand together, 2 worlds watching, waiting to decide, is this bond the future or a mistake that could destroy them all? The Galactic Neutral Station was unlike anything Eli had ever seen. It floated silently between Earth and Zorathi space, a giant ring of steel, glass and light surrounded by defense drones and ships from both sides. Inside, it was quiet, too. Quiet. The main chamber had a high ceiling and hundreds of glowing seats arranged in a circle. Representatives from Earth and Zorath filled them. At the center was a raised platform with 2 standing spots. One for Eli, Torres. One for Princess Asera. This wasn't a trial of law. It was a trial of trust. Could a bond between human and alien be allowed? Or was it a danger that must be ended no matter the cost? Eli adjusted his collar nervously as he waited behind the chamber doors. His heart was pounding. They don't want the truth, he said softly. They want a reason to hate. Asera stood beside him in a long robe of silver and blue. Her face was calm, but her fingers trembled slightly. She took Eli's hand. Then we'll give them something they've never seen, not hate. Hope. The doors opened. A deep voice echoed, presenting Eli Torres of Earth and Princess Asera of Zorath. They stepped forward together. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to them. Queen Virali sat on the Zorathi side, her gaze steady but unreadable. Earth Command sat opposite her, led by Admiral Segrin, a cold man known for his distrust of all aliens. First to speak was a Zorathi elder. This union breaks every law of our kind. The bond is unnatural. It could weaken our species. Eli wanted to respond, but Asera gently nodded. Let me. She stepped forward, voice steady. I was born a princess. I was trained to obey. But I never felt alive until I met someone who saw me not as a ruler, but as a person. Eli did not touch me with greed or fear. He touched me with kindness, with truth. The Zorathi side murmured loudly. A human councilwoman stood next. Princess, we have reports your biology is changing, that your bond is merging your DNA with his. Isn't that dangerous? Eli stepped forward now. Yes, it's changing both of us, but not into monsters. It's making us understand each other deeper than any treaty ever could. Another voice shouted from the crowd, Are you in love with each other? Silence filled the chamber. Eli looked at Asera. She looked at him. Then they both said, Yes. Some gasped, some laughed, but most remained quiet, stunned by the honesty. The mood changed when scientists were brought forward. Dr. Leon showed the scans. Eli and Asera's heartbeats matched. Their brainwaves sensed in sleep. When one was injured, the other's pain center activated. Their genes were writing a new code, a shared one. This is not just romance, she said. It's biology evolving, Admiral Segrin scowled. So we should allow evolution to destroy us? Queen Virali finally stood. No, she said firmly. You should allow it to teach you. The queen walked slowly to the center. My daughter did not choose this bond to hurt anyone. She chose it because something rare happened. Something powerful. Something even I, as queen, never had the courage to find. She turned to the humans. You speak of peace, but you fear what peace requires: connection, understanding, risk. Then, to the Zorathi side. We speak of honor, but we forget that honor without compassion is nothing. The room was still. The queen stepped beside Asera and Eli. I support their bond. Gasps echoed across the chamber. A human delegate stood. If this continues, we risk future bonds. More human Zorathi mixes. Eli raised his voice. Then, maybe that's the future we need. Not war, not fear, but something new. A hologram lit up behind them, showing images of past battles between humans and aliens. Death, fire, screams. Then it showed one simple photo: Eli and Asera sitting beside each other, smiling under a shelter roof. That one image said more than all the arguments. After hours of debate, a vote was called. Each side would choose: accept the bond or reject it. Hands were raised one by one. On Earth's side, some voted yes, some no. On the Zorathi side, the same. And when the final count was in, the result was shocking. Even. Tied. Silence fell. Then one soft voice spoke. I will break the tie. Queen Virali turned to the judges. As queen, I have the right to cast one vote in times of split. She looked at Asera and smiled. I vote yes. The chamber erupted in noisome cheers, some outrage. But it was done. The bond had been accepted. Eli held Asera close. They had not only defended their love, they had changed history. Together. The vote was over. The bond had been accepted. For the first time in history, a human and a Zorathi were allowed to stay bonded by emotion, by biology, by choice. But not everyone celebrated. In the dark corridors of the Galactic Neutral Station, a small group of masked figures met in secret. They wore no flags. They spoke no names. They called themselves the Purity Front. Their goal was simple: end the bond, no matter the cost. Back on the observation deck, Eli and Asera looked out into space. Their hands were still intertwined. Below them, Earth and Zorath hung side by side, two very different worlds, now linked by something new. Eli smiled. We did it. Asera nodded softly. Yes, but peace. Peace is never safe. She was right, because somewhere just outside the station, a small black vessel hovered in silence, invisible to sensors. Inside it, a signal was being prepared. Not to start war. To remove one target. Eli Torres. Later that night, Eli walked through the station garden, an artificial place filled with earth plants and calming lights. He needed space to think. He sat near a glowing tree and watched the leaves shimmer. A message played in his mind. What if this bond made him something that wasn't human anymore? Would his people accept him in the long run? Would he accept himself? He closed his eyes. Suddenly, a soft snap, a footstep. He turned. Nothing. Then, a figure appeared behind him. He barely had time to react before a sharp, electric dart hit his back. Darkness. Silence. Back. In her chamber, Asera gasped and clutched her chest. Pain. Sharp and real. She screamed. Guards rushed in. What happened? One asked. Asera was shaking, eyes wide. Eli, he's hurt. She didn't know how. She didn't know where, but the bond told her. His body was in danger. And if he died, she might not survive either. On the station's lower levels, Eli woke up. His arms were tied, his mouth covered. He was strapped to a table in a dark humming room. Around him, the masked figures of the Purity Front stood. One of them leaned in. His voice was filtered and cold. "You are not special. You are not love. You are a disease," Eli struggled. He wanted to scream. Another masked figure raised a glowing knife. "We will fix the mistake your bond has made." Just as the blade dropped, an explosion shook the wall. A door blasted open. Hasera stormed in, glowing with light. She didn't carry weapons. She didn't need them. Her bond was her power. With every step, lights flickered. The attackers screamed. As their systems crashed, Eli felt it too, his own body pulsing with heat, like a shield around him. Hasera's voice echoed across the room. "Touch him again, and none of you leave alive." The Purity Front fled. Some didn't make it. Later, as medics checked Eli, the Queen stood beside them. "You saved him," she said. Hasera sat at Eli's side, holding his hand. "We saved each other," Queen Virali nodded. "But now it's clear. There are enemies who will never accept this bond. Peace will need more than words. It needs protection." Eli sat up weakly. "We need a place where this bond isn't just." Aloud, "It's understood." The Queen looked at him, thoughtful. "Then you shall have one." 3 days later, a declaration was made across both worlds. The Unity Institute would be built on neutral land, in orbit between Earth and Zorath, a place for humans and Zorathi to study, live, and build a future together. The first project. Understanding the bond. The first leaders, Eli and Hasera. Some praised the idea. Others called it madness, but none could deny it. A human and an alien had changed everything. And now, they were building a bridge no one believed possible. Together. The Unity Institute stood like a shining tower above the stars, half built from Zorathi crystal, half from Earth's strongest metals. It was the first structure made by both species, not for war, but for peace. Inside, humans and Zorathi worked. Side by side. Scientists studied. Students learned. Soldiers trained not for battle but for unity. At the heart of it all were two names. Eli, Torres, and Princess Azira. Now no longer just a couple, but symbols. Symbols of what could happen when two worlds stopped fearing each other and started understanding. Eli walked through the garden levels, where earth trees and Zorathi singing plants grew together. The air smelled of soft flowers and metal dust. He looked up at the stars, remembering where this all began. A crash. A shelter, a bond. So much had changed. His own body had changed. He didn't get sick anymore. His reflexes were sharper, his thoughts clearer. He could even sense when Hasera was nearby, and she was. He turned as she entered, wearing a soft white robe lined with silver. Her skin glowed with a calm lavender shimmer. "You felt me coming again?" She smiled. "Of course," he said. "You're the loudest thought in my head." They laughed together, not just as lovers, but as leaders. And soon, something more. Hasera placed a hand gently on her stomach. Eli's eyes widened. "You're sure?" She nodded slowly. "I am. It's already starting. A child, not fully human. Not fully Zorathi, something new, something never seen before in the galaxy. A future born from two species who once feared each other more than death. The announcement spread fast. Across Earth, people were shocked. Across Zorath, many were outraged. But a quiet group, a new generation, celebrated. They saw not a threat, but a miracle. A child that could carry the blood of both worlds. A living bridge. Still, not all were happy. Small resistance groups remained in the shadows. Whispers of sabotage spread again. But this time, they were met with resistance, not from soldiers, but from citizens. People who stood up and said, "No more fear, no more hate. Let them live." Queen Virali arrived at the Institute days later. She walked slowly, her royal guards beside her. Time had aged her face, but her eyes were still sharp. She met her daughter in the private hall. Sarah bowed gently. "Mother." "No need for that now," the queen smiled. "You are no longer just my daughter. You are something more." She looked at Eli and said, "You were once the boy who ruined a mission. Now you are the man who saved 2 civilizations." Eli nodded, humbled. "Thank you, Your Majesty." The queen turned to leave, then paused. "I will return when the child is born. I wish to see what peace looks like. When it has a face." Months passed. The Institute grew larger. Old enemies grew quieter. And finally, one quiet evening, under the soft glow of Zorathi moonlight, the child was born, half human, half Zorathi. She had Eli's eyes, Sarah's skin, and something new, a calm, glowing mark on her hand. A sign of the bond she inherited. She did not cry when she was born. She smiled as if she already knew she was. Something different. Something important. Eli held her in his arms. "She's perfect," he whispered as Ira leaned close. "She's the future." They named her Arya, meaning hope. And as her name echoed through the station halls, both humans and Zorathi felt something shift. Old fears faded, new dreams began, because in the end, this story wasn't about war. It wasn't about science. It wasn't even about politics. It was about a bond, one deep enough to cross stars, species, and fear. And that bond created a future that neither world could imagine alone. Together they became more. Together they became one. Asterisk.